Welcome back to the 12 Days of Human Design series. Over the course of these 12 episodes, we're looking at every member of my family so that you can see how human design is so much more than a label or a type. At the time of this recording, we're all generator types. Right now, there are 8 manifesting generators and 3 generators in our family. And I keep saying right now there are because there is another baby due any day now, another grandbaby due any day now. And I'll be doing that chart as well when we get through all of the rest of the episodes. So today we're going to be talking about my son-in-law, Nick, and looking at all of the nuances in his chart. Nick is married to my daughter, Emily, and they are the ones who are expecting their 3rd child right now. He's a twin, and even though his brother has exactly the same chart as him, exactly the same, every last detail is the same, they live entirely different lives. So what I would love for you to understand here is that your design is the blueprint. You energize it. Free will is a thing, and conditioning is a thing. Every gate in your human design body graph has hundreds of ways that it could be expressed. And I guess that's the beauty in a reading, is that we sit together and we start to unpack all of the ways that you've been conditioned away from yourself, and it's different for every person. Your life experience gets layered onto this human design, right? No two people are ever going to be the same. Again, it's all about the nuances. I know you keep hearing me say this, but that's the whole point of these 12 episodes, is so that you can see that not all generator types are the same. It goes so much deeper than that. So have your own chart handy as we go through this episode so that you can relate what I'm covering here to your own life. I do try to keep coming back to here's where you find this in your chart so that you know what I'm talking about. If you don't yet have your own human design chart, pause this episode right now and go to my website, vickydixon.com, and you can download it for free. I know that you're probably walking or driving, so if you're driving, don't go on your phone. But if you're walking, you can take a break and just do it on your phone if you're so inclined, or listen again to the episode later. It's really, really helpful to have your own human design handy as you go through these episodes.
Welcome to Unjaded. I'm your host, Vicky Dixon. This is a podcast with a human design spin on building the life, the relationships, and the business that you were made for. Let's dive in.
Okay, so Nick. Nick is what you would typically think of when you think of a manifesting generator. He does have loads of energy. He needs a ton of physical activity, and he's always doing 100 different things. Something that's important to note about Nick's design is that he has the 3420 channel. So if you or someone you know has this channel defined, you're going to want to listen really carefully to this episode. Manifesting generators with a 3420 channel tend to be crazy busy, busier than even the busiest of manifesting generators. They're busy for themselves. And they don't have time for you, and they will tell you that. It's just, I have a friend with this channel who I love dearly who may listen to this episode, and we've been trying to get together for coffee for probably 8 months, but she's always too busy. And that's just the way that manifesting generators with this 3420 channel move through life. They're busy, 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 busy. I have a lot of these manifesting generators in my practice and in my life, and I find myself forever wanting to tell them to slow down and take a breath, because I feel like they give all of us as manifesting generators a bad name because they're so scattered sometimes. But it's the way that they're meant to walk through life, I guess. I wish I had a formula that would help to hold their attention just long enough to make them feel how powerful they are when they are present. Because that's the thing about this 3420 channel, is that it's power and it's presence. It's power in the now, power in the moment. But they really often don't take the time to be present or to actually experience the moment. So just know that if you have a 3420 in your life, you're going to have to give them some grace, because it's almost like a frenetic type energy that they seem to have. And that's just how they move through life. So give them a little bit of grace. So another thing that I would love for you to just understand as we go through this is that if the channel 3420 is defined in your chart, you are a manifesting generator, and manifesting generators are the only ones who can have this channel. It defines the sacral to the throat. So only a manifesting generator can possibly have this channel, but not all manifesting generators will. Okay, so let's look at Nick's chart and how the pieces of the chart dance together and how they layer on, one thing on top of the other on top of the other. I keep talking about this in these episodes, but it's really an important piece. So first, we're going to talk with Nick about the amount of physical activity that he needs, because it's copious. I know for a fact that he was a kid in school who was labeled as someone who couldn't learn like the others. He took a lot of heat for this, and he internalized a lot of things about himself that just aren't true, and it pisses me off. Nick has a mind like a steel trap. He's all about facts, figures, and insights. He's actually really, really smart. And he needs to be moving in order to access this. When he doesn't move enough, he can't use enough of the sacral energy in his body, so it ricochets around in his body, making him seem like he's hyperactive or frenetic. And that's something important to note for you if you are a generator type. You have to use up the amount of sacral energy that is delivered into your body each and every day in order for you to sleep well, in order for you to have a functioning endocrine system. Your adrenals need to be healthy, your thyroid needs to be healthy. In order for you to have clarity of thought and not have like ADD, ADHD type kind of scattered thoughts. You got to be moving your body enough to be able to use up that energy so that it doesn't go wonky inside of your body. So for Nick, this need for physical activity lives in so many places as in his design. He's a manifesting generator. He has a 3420 channel. He has left-facing variables. He's a 6th line profile. And remember that a 6th line profile goes through the first third of its life, which is where he is now, having to experience everything for himself, not being able to ever learn without making mistakes. And I put that in air quotes. He has gate 35 defined. Gate 35 is part of the Evil Knievel channel. It's all about experience. It's about adventure. It's about doing the thing. He has gate 30 defined, which is intensity. Whenever you see gate 30 defined in anyone's human design chart, you know that you're dealing with someone who is intense on some level. I have gate 30 twice, and that'll be in my episode, which is the last one, depending on baby, that is. So do you get how this kid would have problems in school? If he didn't have an advocate for him, which he didn't, who was seeing his gifts instead of his hyperactivity and his faults, he couldn't possibly succeed within that school system that wanted him to sit for 6 or 6.5 hours a day because he couldn't physically use enough of his energy, which means that he couldn't access the gifts in his brain. And I haven't even scratched the surface yet. Nick's chart is in the show notes if you want to take a look. And then I'm going to walk through some things that you can look for in your own design as well, or the design of your child, anyone that you're looking at. So here we have a manifesting generator with the 3420 channel who's busy for himself. He has channel 3254 defined. This is the channel that goes from the root center to the spleen center. And it's a channel of endurance and ambition. It gives him drive and a deep fear of failure. That's the shadow side of that gate 32 is a fear of failure. This channel, if anyone in your life has all or part of this channel defined, it's another place where physical activity lives. You're going to need to move your body with this energy there. And for Nick, gate 54 is a major theme in his design. It's defined 4 times in his chart. Remember when you're looking at your own chart that if any of the gates repeat, that automatically means they're a theme in your design. So when you're ready to go beyond type, that can be another place to look at. If you've got gates that are, appearing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, look at those gates because they're really important drivers in your life. Gate 54 is ambition and drive, and it's a drive to create prosperity at all costs. In its lowest expression, it can hold blind ambition that sees nothing else but getting ahead. And from time to time, I do see how Nick is driven in this manner. He can really save. He wants to do really, really well for his family. It's really important to him. He needs to move his body to access this, right? And what's the thing that we do when we're working towards a business goal, when we're, driving forward, trying to build our financial wealth for our families? What's the first thing that we drop? It's our physical activity. It's our exercise routine. So if this energy is present in your design with any of these other pieces that I'm talking about in Nick's design, you can't afford to drop your exercise routine. None of us can, but you really can't afford to drop the physical activity piece of the puzzle. And that's the thing that we drop first. So Nick needs to move his body like it's his day job. Sitting at a desk is not for him. But when we go back to his school life, we put this boy in a desk for 6 hours or more, and then we criticized him when he couldn't learn the way that we thought that he should. And it's not right. It drives me insane about the school system right now. So I will get off my soapbox and we'll talk about his Saturn return because I told you that we'd look at a Saturn return in these episodes. So the planet Saturn returns to the place it was at the time of your birth, around the time you're 29 or 30, and again when you're 58, and then again when you're 84. Saturn is known as the great challenger. It's the barbed wire of your life. It's that thing, the thing for you that you just keep bumping up against over and over and over again. You're like, oh my God, why don't I ever get the lesson? That's your Saturn. So it comes for you with a challenge, and it comes really big when you're 29 or 30. And if you don't get the gifts and you don't understand the lessons in your Saturn when you're 29 or 30, it's going to come big time for you at 58. I have heard from a lot of my clients that the second Saturn return around 58 is even more intense. My husband is going to be approaching that very soon, so I'll keep you posted on how that plays out for him. And his Saturn actually is in gate 21, the gate of control. So yikes. I may need to wave the white flag. Nick's Saturn, we're supposed to be talking about Nick, not Pete. Nick's Saturn is about principles. It's about rejecting or being rejected based on your principles. And without telling you the whole story, I can tell you that he absolutely met this challenge in his life. It's also about intensity. He has intensity around this, or clinging fire, it's called. So where is he clinging to principles? Or where should he cling to his principles? Or where is he clinging to them that he shouldn't be clinging to them? That type of energy there. This is the energy that he's playing in right now. For the last year or two, this is the energy that he's playing in. And I have seen this play out in real life. I've had a front row seat to the action, and it's like, oh my God, this is totally his Saturn. It's so fascinating to watch. So remember, human design is all about interpretation. So you could look at his gates and see something entirely different. This is how I'm interpreting it because I've been in the room with him so much and I know a lot of his story. And that's the beauty when you're in the room with your human design reader, is that you get to really unpack. It's all fine and good to read about a gate in a book, and that's great. Please do that. But when you get in the room with the right reader who you feel is right for you, then you have a conversation around your life experience and how things play out for you, and you just really gel the information. So if you're around 29 or 30, or between 58 and 60, take a really good hard look at the messages in the gates of your Saturn and notice how those messages, how those challenges are coming up for you in your life, and see if you can begin to unpack the lessons, because you want to get the lessons, right? And then look at your Jupiter as well, because once you get the lessons of your Saturn, then you come into the blessings of your Jupiter. So it's a beautiful, there is a reason to go through challenges. The last thing that we're going to look at in Nick's design is one of the greatest conditioners, and that's stillness. Go figure, a 3420 Manny Gen with conditioning around stillness. Who would have thunk it? A boy who needs to move continually, who's filled with drive and ambition, who has energy in spades, who can't come to stillness. Of course, it would have to be stillness, right? So what I'm looking at here is the gate of his unconscious sun. It's gate 52. When you're looking at your own chart, that gate of the unconscious sun is the top left number. Your unconscious sun is said to hold your greatest conditioning. It's a place that you get kicked around a lot in life. And it's where your shadow comes into the light. And I feel like I could have said, because it's where your shadow comes into the light. So of course, life is going to kick you around there, because it's this spot where you get to transform, where you get to share your gifts or not. So there are gifts in stillness for Nick. And I only hope that this 3420 channel of his will allow him to be present enough to find the gifts in his own design and in his own life. So when you're ready to look at the nuances of your own human design, you can head on over to the website, vickydixon.com, and book your own reading. We're going to spend about 75 to 90 minutes together going over all of the intricacies, all of the things that make you you, your life experience, how has it played out, the conditioners in your design, the gifts in your design, the highest expression, the lowest expression, all of the intricacies. And we're going to work for you to step into your strengths as we step into a new year. So remember that life is going to kick you around. That's just how it is. Human design helps you to stay unjaded.